You know what I've realized? Every great story starts with a struggle. Not comfort, not ease, but a storm. When life throws you into chaos, when everything seems to fall apart, that's not your ending, that's your invitation, because every challenge is a doorway, not a wall. Let's talk about that. You know what's wild about life? The moments that test you the most. Those nights that feel endless, the days that blur with exhaustion, the heartbreak that cracks your chest open. Those are the exact moments sculpting you into who you're meant to become. It's easy to see challenges as punishment, as some cruel twist of fate. But what if they're not meant to break you? What if they're meant to high build you? Growth doesn't happen in the soft light of comfort. Growth happens when you're pressed, when you're stretched, when you have to rise even though you'd rather hide. Pain isn't a signal that you've failed. It's proof that you're evolving. Think about it. You don't build muscle without resistance. You don't discover courage without fear. You don't find your voice until silence becomes unbearable. Every single struggle you faced, every rejection, every loss, every disappointment has been molding you, shaping you into something unshakable. But we rarely see it in the moment. We see chaos, we see pain, we see unfairness. Yet in the background, life is at work, strengthening you in ways comfort never could. The pain you feel today is the power you'll carry tomorrow. It's the currency of transformation, the evidence that something deeper is being refined within you. And I get it. It's not easy to hold on to that belief when everything feels like it's falling apart. When you're standing in the ruins of what you thought your life would be, it's hard to imagine that this could be the foundation for something better. But here's the truth. Pain has purpose. It forces us to confront who we are without the masks, without the labels, without the noise. When everything else is stripped away, you meet your core. That raw, unfiltered part of you that doesn't rely on validation or approval. The version of you that's powerful because it's real. Pain reveals what comfort hides. There's a certain beauty in breaking because breaking opens you up. It lets the light in. The cracks aren't flaws, they're entry points for wisdom, compassion, empathy. You start to see the world differently. You start to understand people's pain because you've lived it. You start to recognize strength not as loud confidence, but as quiet persistence. That's what pain teaches you. It's the greatest teacher you'll ever have if you let it be. Most people run from pain, numb it, bury it, but the brave ones, they sit with it, they listen, they ask, what is this trying to teach me? And that question changes everything. When you embrace the lesson, you take your power back. You stop being a victim of circumstance and start being an architect of resilience. You begin to understand that your scars aren't ugly. They're stories. They're reminders that you survived, that you endured, that you chose to rise again. And that choice, that's everything. Because pain doesn't define you, your response to it does. You can let it harden you, or you can let it awaken you. You can let it make you bitter, or you can let it make you brave. Every single time you decide to keep moving, to keep believing, to keep loving despite the pain, you become stronger than you were yesterday. So the next time life tests you, don't rush to escape the discomfort. Sit in it, feel it, let it stretch you. Because in that stretch, something extraordinary is happening. You're evolving into a version of yourself that fear can't control, that doubt can't silence, that failure can't destroy. The pain you're feeling is not permanent. It's progress in disguise. Every challenge is a seed. And just like a seed, growth happens underground first. You won't see it, you won't feel it, but it's happening. Then one day, you'll look back and realize the moments that felt like endings were actually beginnings. Appliso, don't run from your pain. Rise through it. Let it refine you, not define you. Because pain is not your enemy, it's your evolution in motion. It's proof that you're becoming something greater than before. And when you finally emerge from that storm, you won't just be stronger, you'll be unstoppable. You know that moment when someone tells you no, and it feels like the ground gives way beneath your feet, When you've poured everything you have, your time, your heart, your energy into something only to watch it slip away, that sting, that silence after rejection, it hits differently. It makes you question your worth, your direction, even your dreams. But here's what I want you to understand. Rejection isn't a dead end. It's a detour. It's not life saying, you can't have this. It's life whispering, there's something better waiting, if you trust me long enough to see it. Every no is simply redirection wearing a disguise. Think back to a time you didn't get what you wanted. A job, a relationship, an opportunity. You were crushed, right? But months or years later, didn't it make sense? Didn't you realize that what you thought you needed wasn't aligned with who you were becoming? That's the thing about rejection. It feels cruel in the moment, but kind in hindsight. Life has a way of protecting you from things that aren't meant for you, even when you don't understand it. Sometimes what feels like rejection is actually redirection toward a version of yourself you haven't met yet. It's not the world closing a door, it's the universe rearranging your path. When you start to see rejection through that lens, you stop taking it personally. You stop thinking, ye wasn't good enough. You start thinking, maybe that wasn't good enough for me. That shift in mindset is everything, because rejection doesn't define your worth. It defines your direction. It sharpens your clarity. It makes you pause and ask, is this really what I want? Sometimes we chase things that look good on paper but don't align with our soul. We crave validation instead of purpose. Rejection disrupts that pattern. It forces you to reassess, to refine, to realign. It becomes a compass guiding you closer to your truth. And let's be honest, it hurts. There's no way around that. Rejection stings because we attach meaning to it. We tell ourselves that no means we failed, but it doesn't. No means not yet. It means not this way. It means there's a lesson you need before you can handle what's next. The pain you feel after rejection isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you cared. It's proof that you dared to show up, to risk something, to put yourself out there. And that bravery, that's what builds character. Because courage isn't about always winning. It's about showing up even after you've lost. Rejection also builds resilience. It teaches you how to recover, how to pivot, how to rebuild when things don't go your way. Every time you get rejected and still choose to believe in yourself, you strengthen your inner foundation. You learn to detach your self-worth from outcomes. You realize that opportunities are abundant and that one closed door doesn't define your entire story. Some of the world's most successful people were rejected over and over again by employers, publishers, partners, investors. The difference? They didn't stop. They didn't internalize the no. They used it as motivation, as feedback, as fuel. They understood that rejection is never the end. It's the beginning of a redirection towards something greater. So the next time life says no, pause before you crumble. Ask yourself, what if this isn't rejection? What if it's protection? What if the thing you wanted wasn't meant to carry you forward, but to prepare you for something else? That perspective turns pain into peace. Because you stop fighting what's leaving and start preparing for what's coming. You start to understand that the universe never subtracts without the intention to multiply. Trust that. Trust the timing even when it doesn't make sense. Trust that what's meant for you won't pass you by. Because the truth is, rejection isn't the opposite of opportunity. It's the path to it. So don't fear rejection. Embrace it. Let every no refine your focus, sharpen your strength, and redirect you toward your destiny. Because rejection doesn't break you, it builds you. It's not a wall blocking your way, it's a sign pointing you to where you truly belong. When one door closes, it's not the end of your story, it's the beginning of a better one. Fear. Fear. It's that invisible force that creeps in just when you're about to step forward. When the dream finally feels within reach. When the opportunity stands right in front of you. It whispers, what if you're not ready? What if you fail? What if everyone sees you fall? And before you know it, you pull back, you shrink, you convince yourself that safety is smarter than risk. But let's get one thing straight, fear is not your enemy. Because fear can't stop movement, it only feeds on hesitation. Every time you act despite fear, you weaken its power and strengthen your own. You realize that fear was never the problem. It was your belief that fear meant stop. But it never did. It meant, hey, go. Go toward the unknown. Go toward the challenge. Go toward the version of yourself that fear is trying to protect you from becoming. That's where the breakthrough lives. That's where life expands. So don't let fear silence your fire. Let it spark it. Feel the fear and move anyway. Because fear is not a barrier, it's a bridge. And when you cross it, you step into the version of yourself you were always meant to be. Bold, free, unstoppable. Fear isn't the end of your story. It's the beginning of your rise. Failure. It's a word that carries so much weight, so much shame, that most people spend their lives trying to avoid it. But here's the truth. Failure isn't your enemy. It's your mentor. It's not a full stop, it's a comma. The moment you fail is the moment life hands you the greatest curriculum it has to offer, experience. Yet so many of us treat failure as a verdict, when in reality it's simply feedback. It's data, it's direction. Every time something doesn't go as planned, the universe isn't punishing you, it's showing you what needs refinement. You don't grow by always getting it right, you grow by learning from what went wrong. When we fail, we tend to internalize it. We start believing that we are the failure instead of realizing that we experienced a failure. That distinction changes everything. Failure doesn't define your identity, it refines your ability. It's the contrast that helps you see where to adjust, where to improve, where to evolve. Every innovator, every achiever, every person who's left a mark on history has a trail of failures behind their success. They just didn't stop there. They treated each setback as a classroom, not a coffin. You can do the same. Instead of saying, I failed, try saying, I learned something I couldn't have learned any other way. Because that's exactly what failure is. Education in its rawest, most transformative form. The truth is, failure reveals your strength more than success ever will. Success might show you what works, but failure shows you what you're made of. It tests your resilience, your patience, your belief in yourself. When everything falls apart, you're forced to confront your limits, your fears, and your excuses. That's where character is built. That's where real power forms. Think about it. If everything you tried worked perfectly, you'd never develop perseverance, grit, or innovation. You'd stay stagnant, shallow, untested. Failure is the fire that burns away the falsehoods you carry about yourself. It humbles you, but it also sharpens you. It breaks you open so something stronger can rise in your place. But here's where most people get stuck. They treat failure as final. They give up, convinced that one closed door means the story's over. It's not. Failure only becomes final when you stop learning from it. The moment you step back, reflect, and apply what you've learned. You've already turned failure into fuel. You've already won. The most successful people in the world don't avoid failure, they accelerate it. They fail fast, fail forward, fail better. Why? Because every failed attempt gets them one step closer to mastery. It's a process of elimination. Every mistake removes one more wrong way of doing something. That's how excellence is born. Not from perfection, but from persistence. And let's talk about ego for a moment. Ego hates failure because it exposes imperfection. But humility embraces failure because it values growth over image. When you drop the need to appear flawless, you gain the freedom to improve. Failure strips away the illusion of control and replaces it with truth. It reminds you that you're human, and that's a beautiful thing. Because being human means you can evolve, you can rise. You can rebuild. The greatest danger isn't failing. It's never daring enough to risk it. Failure is evidence that you tried, that you cared enough to step into the arena instead of watching from the sidelines. That courage alone is worth more than a flawless record. So when life knocks you down, don't hide from the lesson. Sit with it. Ask questions. What didn't work? Why? What can I do differently next time? Then get up and go again. Because failure isn't the end of your journey. It's the map to your next breakthrough. Every no, every mistake, every stumble is leading you toward clarity, toward wisdom, toward greatness. The people who rise highest aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who refuse to stay down. They see failure for what it really is. The tuition you pay for success. The cost of evolution. The sign that you're in motion. Achievers who don't fear failure, master it, learn from it, use it. Because every failure is simply feedback from the universe saying, not this way but keep going. Failure doesn't destroy you, it develops you. It's not the end of your story. It's the part that makes the triumph worth telling. You are not your failures. You are the fire that rises from them. Comparison. It's one of the quietest killers of confidence. You scroll, you watch, you listen, and before you even realize it, you've convinced yourself that you're behind, that you're not enough, that everyone else is somehow living the life you were supposed to have. But here's the truth no one talks about. Comparison is an illusion. You're comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. You're measuring your growth against their chapter 20 when you're only on chapter 3. And that's not fair to them or to you. Comparison steals your joy because it blinds you to your own progress. It makes you forget that your journey was never meant to look like anyone else's. You are not in competition with the world. You are in collaboration with your purpose. We live in a culture that glorifies more success, more followers, more recognition. But more doesn't mean meaning. You can have all the trophies and still feel empty if you're chasing validation instead of fulfillment. When you compare, you shift your focus from creation to competition. You start asking, how do I measure up? Instead of, what am I here to build? That mindset robs you of your authenticity. Because the moment you start molding yourself to fit someone else's standard, you stop being original. You lose the spark that makes your voice different, your perspective valuable, your energy magnetic. And the world doesn't need another copy. It needs your truth, raw and unfiltered. Here's something powerful. Nobody can beat you at being a you. You are your own category, your story, your scars, your journey. It's all one of one. And that's your edge. When you stop comparing and start creating, you shift from envy to energy. You start using other people's success not as a measuring stick, but as inspiration. Their light doesn't dim yours. It can remind you that light is possible. Someone else's win is proof that the dream works, not proof that you're losing. The mindset of abundance says, if they did it, so can I, and I'll do it my way. That's when comparison stops being poison and becomes fuel. You start moving from a place of purpose, not pressure. But this takes discipline, because comparison is sneaky. It hides in subtle thoughts like, why not me? Or, when is it my turn? The answer, it is your turn, but it's unfolding in your time, not theirs. You can't rush divine timing. What's meant for you won't miss you, and what's not meant for you can't stay. Every delay, every detour is preparing you for the version of success that fits your soul, not your ego. And you know what? Sometimes you're not ready yet, and that's okay. Growth happens in the shadows before it happens in the spotlight. Just because no one's clapping yet doesn't mean you're not doing something worth celebrating. Stay patient with your process. Comparison will make you chase speed. Purpose will teach you to trust timing. Another truth about comparison, it often comes from insecurity, not inadequacy. The people you compare yourself to are usually reflecting back the potential you haven't owned yet. You see their confidence and crave it, because you know deep down you have that same power inside you. So instead of shrinking when you feel envy, pause and ask, what is this feeling trying to show me? Maybe it's pointing you towards something you've been too scared to start. Maybe it's reminding you that your desire to rise is valid. Use it as motivation, not judgment. Because comparison can either drain your spirit or drive your growth. It depends on what you do with it. So stop scrolling through other people's stories like your worth depends on them. Write your own. You're not supposed to have their timeline, their path, or their blessings. You're supposed to have yours. And it's still unfolding. Your timing, your pace, your purpose, it's perfect, even when it feels slow. There's a quote that says, "The flower doesn't look at the one next to it to bloom, it just blooms." And that's exactly what you're meant to do. Bloom where you are, water your lane, celebrate your progress, because when you do, life expands, the noise fades, and what remains is peace, clarity, and unstoppable confidence in who you are becoming. So don't compare, create, unning from what challenges you and start asking, what is this trying to teach me? D, because the answers are always hidden inside the struggle. The truth is, purpose transforms pressure. When you're aligned with what truly matters, the weight doesn't disappear, but it starts to make sense. You stop asking, why me? And start declaring, why not me? You understand that the obstacles are part of the assignment. Every hardship, every delay, every heartbreak. It's not detouring you from your purpose, it's deepening it. Purpose is what gives meaning to the pain. It turns suffering into service, chaos into clarity, wounds into wisdom. When you operate from purpose, you no longer live for applause, you live for alignment. And that shift changes everything. Because when you're rooted in purpose, external validation loses its hold. You stop performing for approval and start creating from authenticity. But here's the beautiful paradox. Purpose isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's not something distant that you'll reach someday. It's something you express every single day through every small decision, every act of kindness, every step forward. You live your purpose when you show up for yourself, when you choose integrity over convenience, when you push through fear to honor what you believe in. Purpose is built in the quiet moments when no one's watching. It's in the resilience you show after failure, the compassion you give even when you're hurting, the belief you hold when the world doubts you. You don't need a spotlight to live with purpose. You just need the courage to keep walking in truth. So when you feel lost, remember, your purpose was never lost. It's within you, waiting to be awakened. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to take one step toward what feels right over and over again. Purpose isn't found in clarity. It's found in commitment. You keep showing up, learning, refining, and trusting that every experience, good or bad, is shaping you for something greater. Because purpose isn't a destination. It's a way of being. It's what turns every setback into a setup, every failure into formation, every challenge into opportunity. Once you understand that, nothing can shake you. Not fear, not doubt, not rejection. Because when you live with purpose, every path, no matter how uncertain, leads you home. So don't chase purpose, embody it. Let it guide you, ground you, and grow you. Because when you live with purpose, life stops happening to you and starts happening through. You stop asking for direction and start becoming the direction. The world doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be purposeful. And when you live from that place, you don't just survive challenges. You transform them into the very fuel that drives your destiny. Strength. It's a word people throw around casually. But true strength isn't built in the moments when everything is easy. It's forged in the silence after loss, in the uncertainty after failure, in the weight of responsibility that feels too heavy to carry. Real strength isn't loud. It doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's the quiet decision to get up again after life has knocked you down, again and again. It's waking up with a heart that's still healing but choosing to move forward anyway. Strength isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. It's not about never breaking. It's about learning how to rebuild after you do. Every scar, every bruise, every disappointment you've survived is proof that you are capable of rising even when it feels impossible. The truth is, strength grows in the moments you think you have none left. It grows in the tears you cry in secret, in the conversations you don't want to have, in the days you show up even when your heart isn't in it. Strength doesn't mean being fearless. It means doing what's necessary despite the fear. It's resilience disguised as routine. It's grace under fire. The strongest people aren't those who've avoided pain. They're the ones who've walked through it and refused to let it define them. Life will test you. It will push you to the edge of what you believe you can handle. But every time you choose to stand your ground, you expand your capacity. You don't just survive challenges, you evolve because of them. And here's the part people often miss. Strength isn't only about endurance, it's also about vulnerability. True strength allows you to be honest about your pain. It allows you to say, I'm not okay right now, without shame. Because strength without softness becomes armor, and armor might protect you. But it also keeps love, joy, and connection out. The bravest thing you can do is let people see your real self, even when you're still healing. Vulnerability doesn't weaken you, it deepens you. It reminds you that being human isn't about being unshakable, it's about being whole. Real power lives in the balance between resilience and tenderness, between knowing when to fight and when to surrender, between holding on and letting go. Sometimes the strongest act is not pushing harder, but choosing differently. It's walking away from what drains you. It's saying no when everyone expects yes. It's giving yourself permission to rest when your spirit is tired. Strength is not about constant motion. It's about intentional movement. You can't pour from an empty cup. You can't lead others if you've abandoned yourself. Strength requires boundaries. It demands self-respect. It asks you to protect your peace with the same intensity that you protect your dreams. Because when you honor your limits, you expand your longevity. You can fight longer, love deeper, and live fuller when your strength comes from a place of balance, not burnout. And let's be honest, sometimes strength looks messy. It's not the picture-perfect version the world glamorizes. It's crying in your car, then showing up for work anyway. It's sitting in uncertainty and choosing faith over fear. It's learning to trust that even in the chaos, you are still being guided. Strength doesn't always look powerful. It often looks like persistence, like grace, like refusing to give up even when no one's cheering you on. There's something sacred about those moments when no one sees you fighting, but you keep fighting anyway. That's the kind of strength that changes you. It's not built in the spotlight, it's built in the shadows, quietly,